Some existed before existence itself, beings who witnessed the birth of creation and will be there for its end. The gods of the fourth world, the angels of the Silver City. Comic book universes are teeming with ancient entities. These beings are not myth, they're reality. Starting things off with the Endless. A group of 7 immortal beings are as vast and timeless as the universe itself. Their existence transcends both space and time, making them akin to the very fabric of reality. While some readers might perceive them as existing outside the DC multiverse, the acclaimed series Sandman and its associated titles firmly anchor them within the main DC continuity. In fact, even iconic characters like Superman were shown attending Dream's funeral near the end of the series, underscoring their integral role within the DC universe. Delving into the Age of the Endless is a fascinating endeavor. Destiny, the keeper of all destinies, has existed for as long as anything, as everything is etched in his book. However, the existence of multiple universes, as exemplified by the Fourth World, raises questions about whether Destiny and the Endless predate them. The concept of destiny emerged at the dawn of time, but it's highly likely that destiny existed in some form even before time itself began. Destiny and the Endless are undoubtedly among the oldest forces in the universe, having emerged alongside them. Their existence alongside these ancient powers grants them the top spot in the rankings as the oldest characters in the DC universe. The Endless are not merely ancient, they are eternal. They have witnessed the birth and death of countless universes, and their influence extends far beyond the mortal realm. They are the guardians of dreams, desires, death, destiny, and other fundamental aspects of existence. Their stories are intertwined with the history of the DC universe, and their impact on the multiverse is immeasurable. The One Above All stands as the supreme being in the Marvel universe, an entity so profoundly powerful and enigmatic that it eludes complete comprehension. He is often considered the ultimate creator, the architect of all realities, existing outside the boundaries of time and space as we understand them. His age is immeasurable, predating the very concept of existence itself. To illustrate the sheer scale of his power, consider the Living Tribunal. This cosmic entity, a being of immense power who judges the entirety of the multiverse, is but a servant to the One Above All. The Tribunal, a tripartite being composed of eternity, infinity, and death, maintains balance across countless dimensions. Yet even this godlike figure bows before the One Above All, acknowledging his ultimate authority. Mark Waid, during his influential run on the Fantastic Four, first introduced this omnipotent being to the Marvel Universe. In a moment of meta-textual brilliance, the One Above All appeared in the form of Jack Kirby, the legendary artist who co-created the Fantastic Four and shaped the visual landscape of Marvel Comics. This was not just a clever nod to a comics icon, it was a symbolic representation of the One Above All's role as the ultimate creator, mirroring the real-world creation of the Marvel Universe by Kirby and his collaborators. The One Above All, however, is not merely a distant creator. He has, on rare occasions, intervened in the affairs of the multiverse, often in subtle ways that reveal his compassion and understanding. He has offered guidance to lost souls, provided solace to the grieving, and even resurrected heroes when the fate of reality hung in the balance. These instances, though infrequent, highlight his benevolent nature and his profound connection to all living things. Etrigan the Demon, a character whose origins intertwine with the very fabric of the universe. In the celestial realm known as the Silver City, where angels under God's guidance devised the blueprint for the cosmos, Lucifer, the most radiant of them all, learned of the impending arrival of humanity and mortal life. A spark of dissent ignited within Lucifer's heart, leading him to question God's plans and incite a rebellion against his authority. Etrigan, a powerful demon, was among the angels who heeded Lucifer's call, aligning himself with the rebellious forces. The ensuing conflict between the angels and Lucifer's followers was a cataclysmic event, resulting in the expulsion of those who sided with the rebellious leader. Etrigan, along with his fellow rebels, was banished to the depths of hell, where he was transformed into a Rhymer, a figure of immense power within the infernal hierarchy. In the depths of hell, Etrigan's destiny intertwined with that of a human named Jason Blood, a knight who had been summoned to the underworld to confront a demonic threat. A bond formed between the two, granting Jason the ability to transform into Etrigan when he uttered a specific incantation. This symbiotic relationship transformed Etrigan from a mere demon to a hero, a champion of good who fought against evil on Earth. Etrigan's existence as a hero, however, was not without its complexities. While he battled against evil on Earth, he remained a creature of hell, tormented by the souls of the damned. This duality of his nature created an intriguing juxtaposition, where he was both a savior and a monster, a hero and a villain. The Living Tribunal stands as a monumental figure in the vast cosmic hierarchy of Marvel Comics, a being of immense power and authority who oversees the delicate balance of the entire multiverse. Conceived by the creative triumvirate of Stan Lee, Marie Severin, and Herb Trimpe, the Living Tribunal predates much of the Marvel Universe, his existence intertwined with the very fabric of reality. Functioning as a cosmic judge and arbiter, the Living Tribunal's role is akin to that of the Watchers, but on an infinitely grander scale. While the Watchers observe and record events within a single universe, the Living Tribunal's jurisdiction extends across all realities, ensuring that no single universe gains dominance over others and that the cosmic balance is maintained. His distinctive three-faced visage, each face representing a different aspect of his being, equity, vengeance, and necessity, reflects his multifaceted role in safeguarding the multiverse. The front face, representing equity, judges with impartiality, while the partially obscured face on the right, vengeance, ensures that transgressions against the cosmic order are met with appropriate consequences. The fully covered face on the left, necessity, embodies the inevitable course of events, even those that may seem harsh or unjust. The Living Tribunal's origins lie in the dawn of creation, his existence predating the formation of stars, galaxies, and even the very concept of time itself. He has witnessed the birth and death of countless universes, the rise and fall of civilizations beyond mortal comprehension. His age, measured in billions of years, is merely a pale reflection of his timeless nature. The Fourth World, a realm beyond the conventional boundaries of time and space within, is home to the New Gods, a pantheon of powerful beings who embody the eternal struggle between good and evil. Created by the legendary Jack Kirby, these characters, including the noble Orion and the escape artist Mr. Miracle, represent the pinnacle of his creative genius. The genesis of the New Gods lies in the destruction of the Third World, a realm inhabited by ancient deities. From the ashes of this cataclysm arose two distinct worlds: New Genesis, a verdant paradise brimming with life and harmony, and Apocalypse, a fiery hellscape ruled by the iron fist of Darkseid. The New Gods, born from these contrasting worlds, inherited the mantle of their predecessors, becoming the new guardians of the cosmos. However, the precise timeline of their emergence remains shrouded in mystery. Are they older than the Presence, the enigmatic entity often regarded as the DC Universe's equivalent of God? Did they precede the angels who dwell in the Silver City? The answers to these questions remain elusive, as the New Gods exist outside the conventional flow of time, making it difficult to pinpoint their exact age. And in the final spot we have the Spectre. A figure of awe-inspiring power and divine wrath, stands as the embodiment of God's vengeance in the DC universe. While most familiar as the spectral force that bonded with Detective Jim Corrigan in the 1930s, the Spectre's origins stretch back to the dawn of creation, his existence intertwined with the celestial drama that unfolded in the Silver City. Before he was the Spectre, he was Astar, an angel residing in the luminescent realm where angels crafted the cosmos under the guidance of the Presence. When Lucifer, the morning star, ignited a rebellion against the divine order, Astar was among those who succumbed to the allure of defiance. Cast out of heaven alongside the fallen angels, Astar's fate took a dramatic turn when the rogue angel Eclipso incurred the wrath of the Presence. It was then that Astar was transformed into the Spectre, the embodiment of divine vengeance. Tasked with delivering punishment upon the wicked, angels, as beings of divine creation, predate much of existence. While not the oldest beings in the cosmos, they stand among the most ancient, their origins lost in the mists of time. The Spectre, born from this ancient lineage, has been a recurring force in the universe, his presence felt across eons. The Spectre's modus operandi involves merging with a human soul, using their body as a vessel to carry out his divine mission. While Jim Corrigan is perhaps the most well-known of these hosts, he is but one in a long line of individuals who have been bonded with the spirit of vengeance. He is a figure of immense power, yet also one of profound tragedy, forever bound to carry out the will of the Presence, even when it conflicts with his own sense of morality. And there you have it, an in-depth look at ancient superheroes more powerful than you think. So the next time you crack open a comic book, remember that the story goes deeper than you think. Look beyond the heroes and villains, and you might just glimpse the true ancients watching over it all.
Starting off with Gabriel Shepherd, the most powerful mutant, kind of. He is the most powerful of his genre of mutants, which is proto-mutants. This group of people had the gene that eventually evolved into the mutant gene found in the X-Men today. Only a few hundred proto-mutants existed, and big surprise, Gabriel is the last of them. He looked the most human. So, Gabriel allied with the X-Men, but then picked a fight because he discovered that the other proto-mutants had been getting revived to be used as weapons. Gabriel was so mad about this, he literally disappeared into pure energy. Goals, I guess? He returned later to help the X-Men take down Lady Deathstrike. Gabriel might as well be an Omega level mutant. He has lived a very long time and he will live forever. He is strong, he can generate electricity, fly, hear everything, including your thoughts. His telepathic abilities can reach over vast distances, but if you wanted to Uno reverse and use telepathy on him, no such luck. He can throw up some pretty solid mental shields. Goodness knows he's had the time to practice. If you annoy him enough, he might just turn you into a tree using his transmutation abilities, but he's a good guy, so you're probably safe. And finally, he can also stop time, but that's only been shown for a radius of about 500 meters as of right now. Nobody's perfect. Up next is Vision, but not the one you might be thinking of. I'm talking about the original Arcus Destroyer of Evil. This immortal hero debuted in Marvel Mystery Comics 13 and then disappeared for a long time. He was supposed to join the Avengers, but Stan Lee wanted the next member to be an android, so Avengers writer Roy Thomas created Vision. He named him the same thing and took inspiration from the OG's appearance and mysterious backstory, creating the more popular version of Vision that we now know today. The original is making a comeback though, and it's well deserved. This hero is underutilized considering how powerful he is, but that might have to do with an interesting weakness. He can teleport anywhere at all. The only catch is there must be smoke or gas or vapor present, literally like a magician puffing away in a cloud of smoke. He has powers over gases and things like that. He can use them for transport, but manipulate them and make them solid. But that isn't all he can do. Among the usual enhancements, like extreme speed and strength, he's almost impossible to hurt. Nothing can poison him, nothing can seriously pierce his body, he can breathe anywhere. He can also fly, project mental images, make himself appear human, freeze things by touch, and temporarily mind control people. No one knows when this hero was born, but the official Marvel handbook says that he is at least centuries old. Tumazuma, the Native American god of kinship and storytelling, has appeared a few times over the years, and not all of the appearances are considered equal. In some of them, he is the all-powerful, thousands of years old god that can easily lift 25 tons and strike fear into all those he faces, but then in some appearances, he's actually a robot. An oil company built a robot version of the ancient god in order to scare an indigenous group off their land so they could drill for oil. This version of the god shot fire from his hands, concussive beams from his eyes, and can lift up to 100 tons. No matter which version of the character we're looking at, he's pretty powerful. Lacey Lorraine has survived living hundreds of years in the vacuum of space, and she has since retired to a simple life of working in a remote gas station in Montana. I mean, if I were left in space for a couple hundred years, I too wouldn't mind spending the next few centuries with my feet on solid ground with a steady line of work. Lacey was born in ancient Greece and discovered on the day of a major surgery that her body was indestructible. She crossed the universe to try and get that surgery of a device that might be able to do the trick. The problem was it was guarded by a celestial, and it wasn't until she was blasted with all its force that Lacey and those she traveled with realized the device was already stolen. She spent the next 100 years floating through space until she was rescued, and now she lives the quiet life as a gas station attendant and mechanic with a neat story. Turin's birth was prophesized billions of years before she was born, and when she finally did arrive, she more than delivered. Turin was said to be the designate, the being that would help sentient beings evolve to the next level. She started her hero's journey after meeting Thor. She admired him and decided to become Thor Girl. She got her own hammer, and it is quite similar to Thor's. It helps her fly and fire concentrated energy blasts. As the designate, Turin was immortal and was capable of manipulating cosmic energy. That can manifest in various ways, like energy blasts, or illusions, or shapeshifting, even becoming all-knowing. But she has a pretty unique power. This is directly from Thor Volume 2, Issue 25. If her tears touch evil, unprotected by the Stone of Illumination, then it will literally burn it. In this case, the it was Thanos. She has been referred to as unstoppable, and Thor even once considered her powers to rival his father Odin's. For the rare few of you that are not familiar with the Silver Surfer's game, please consider this a quick introductory. This hero is considered one of the most powerful beings in the Marvel Universe, and there are a lot of powerful things out there. Also, dermatologists hate him. He's literally centuries old, but he doesn't look a day over 30. As a herald of Galactus, Silver Surfer was imbued with the power cosmic, aka the source of unlimited cosmic energy. That comes with all the expected bells and whistles in regards to making sure he can physically do the job of being a herald to Galactus, but it helps him with the mental work too. Concepts and rules of the universe that would normally make the average human brain collapse in on itself are light work to Surfer. He can handle being aware of the entire universe. Silver Surfer does surf on his board, it would be weird if he didn't, but he doesn't require the board to fly as he can propel himself, or if he really wants to, he could just teleport. He's accessed the astral plane and destroyed souls, messed with the foundations of nature, gravity, weather, water, light, and there is literally so much more. There is a reason the Silver Surfer is a fan favorite character. But time for some Canadian representation. Snowbird, my queen, is an Inuit demigod whose main power is shapeshifting into any animals native to northern Canada, but she can perform many other impressive feats as well. Her other powers include flight, super strength, and the ability to see the past, up to 6 hours. She is skilled in hand-to-hand combat, having been trained by none other than Alberta-born hero Wolverine. This is already so Canadian, but we're about to add even more maple syrup to the mix. Snowbird is the daughter of the goddess of the Northern Lights and a mortal man. She was bound to Canadian land so she could take on a human form to be the voice of gods on Earth. But this means that if she leaves Canada, she gets weaker. Snowbird's day-to-day identity is Anne Mackenzie, an RCMP officer. Snowbird at this point has been released from her earthly tether and is offered a place among the gods, but refuses to go unless her child and husband can come with her. It took some persuasion, but the gods eventually agreed, and we get a rare happily ever after. I mean, it doesn't last forever, but she had it for a little while. Early in the Marvel Earth history, a bunch of gods had turned evil and were being terrible, and eventually, somebody had to put a stop to it all. Enter Atum, the God-Eater, son of Gaia, Mother Earth, and the Demiurge, the planet's life force. Atum was brought in to put an end to the gods consuming each other and turning demonic, and he did this by consuming all the evil gods and then turning partially demonic. So like, he kind of did the job, but at what cost? Good thing, the good side of him still had morals and didn't want to let the evil consume him. He flew up into the atmosphere to fix himself up before heading back home to the sun. He got all the evil elder gods except 2, Set and Chthon, but they were banished to other realms, so he did still finish the job. Set and Atum did go head to head again a bit later over the dinosaurs. Gaia had plans to stop sustaining dinosaurs and instead get to work on animals. Set, who had bonded with the dinos, didn't like that idea and picked a fight. Gaia called in her son to finish it. This massive battle is what, in the Marvel Universe anyways, caused the dinosaurs to go extinct. I love Marvel history, it is so entertaining. Set returns to his dimension and Atum to the sun. The next time he returns to Earth, he takes on a new name, that being Ra, and then eventually Ra the sun god from Egyptian mythology. Our most unique and technically incomplete path to godhood today belongs to Alexander Aaron, son of Ares. His mother was a mortal woman, which would typically make someone a demigod. However, Alexander was born mortal. Ares turned his back on the gods to raise his son normally, much to Zeus's annoyance, as the Olympians needed the war god to help with the impending fight with the Japanese god of evil. To get Ares back, Zeus kidnapped Alexander as leverage, but before Ares could get him back, Alex was kidnapped a second time by none other than the Japanese god of evil. Ares was a major player in the fight after this. Alexander's godly side was awakened when the Japanese god gave him some of his life force to drink. He brainwashed Alexander and pit him against his father. Zeus was able to clear Alexander's brainwashed state, but by that point Alex had already seriously harmed his dad in battle and woke up to Ares at his feet. It was tragic, but luckily Ares is a god, so he was reborn in no time. At this point, with his godhood awakened, Alex is sought out by Nick Fury, and this is when he finds out that he will become the next god of fear. This comes with a pretty cool set of powers. He can tell what everyone's greatest fear is and use his eyes to place that fear in your head. And he can also see the future now, just as like a fun little extra. And finally, the best for last, because I'm a cat person. The Egyptian lion goddess has two modes: Hathor, the peaceful, playful goddess of love, and Sekhmet, the violent war goddess. So she might seem all cute and cuddly, but she can and will demolish you. She acted as a warrior to the sun god Ra whenever the people of Egypt would try to rebel against him. Her war goddess side, once unleashed, is pretty hard to control. Once she was unleashed on Egypt and slayed half the population before Ra had to step in. The only way to get her to stop was to trick her into drinking large quantities of inebriating drinks that Ra dyed red. The hope and successful outcome was that the war goddess would see the red and, thinking it was humans' red, drink herself unconscious, giving her brain time to settle back into the love goddess. Sekhmet is capable of a male form, but it requires a human host.
At number 10, we have Ancient Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider on a freaking mammoth? Are you kidding me? Back when Earth was an untamed land inhabited by tribes of cavemen, the young boy who would become the first Ghost Rider was brilliant among his pack, but he kept this to himself, fearing isolation. One day, a strange man confronts the tribe, swiftly becoming the leader of their pack through violent means, and eventually revealing himself to be a Wendigo before devouring the entire tribe, save for the young boy. Before the Wendigo leaves, he names the boy Ghost and challenges the boy to find him. With everyone he'd ever known gone, Ghost ventures beyond his cave, deciding that if the stranger could survive out there in the world, so could he. Ghost then embarks on a quest to survive and find his newfound adversary. Alone in a new turbulent environment, Ghost nearly succumbs to exhaustion, but at that moment he's approached by a talking serpent who bestows upon Ghost the spirit of vengeance as a means of achieving his goal, transforming him into the very first Ghost Rider. Fast forward 5 years and the stage is set for a showdown. Ghost, on the back of a flaming mammoth, confronts the Wendigo, engaging in a battle that ends with the Wendigo pushing Ghost atop the mammoth off a cliff, a fall that only the rider would survive. Alone once more, the Ghost was approached by Odin and Lady Phoenix, who would ask him to join the prehistoric Avengers. By the way, if Ghost Rider on a mammoth isn't cool enough for you, then try the Ghost Rider of the Hyborian Age about 990,000 years later, when the Ghost Rider of that era rode a giant spider. The Spider Rider would go on to confront Conan the Barbarian, and while we don't know how that showdown ends, you can definitely bet it would be a battle of the ages. Well, the Hyborian Age specifically. And speaking of which...
Number 9. Conan the Barbarian. Conan was born on a carnage-strewn battlefield in the hills of the westernmost region of Chimeria, all the way back in the Hyborian Age, aka around 13 to 10,000 BC. The fact that Conan was born on a battlefield was considered to be an omen that Conan would grow up to be a great warrior one day. And Conan was one of the most accomplished swordsmen of the Hyborian Age. He has unusually high strength, agility, and speed for a human. He has lifted immense objects or enemies, even using his bare hands to bring down a raging bull when he was still relatively young. It's said that he has the strength equivalent of 10 to 20 men. More often than not though, Conan relies upon his lightning fast reflexes in combat situations, and they've very rarely failed him. On top of that, he has a massive level of durability, and through years of dealing with sorcerers, magicians, and witches, he has even developed a moderate level of resistance to magic and mind control spells. Conan is a master warrior. He has a hardy survival instinct, is a master of stealth, and is multilingual. While primarily known as a wandering sellsword, Conan progressively became a master tactician, leading entire armies into battle, and eventually, Conan even became king of Aquilonia, wherever that is, and also eventually a hero interacting with the heroes of the modern day.
If you're enjoying the videos so far, you can support the channel by pressing like, subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and ringing that notification bell. Moving on to number 8, we have Odin Borson. Wait, did any of you guys know that the Allfather's last name is Borson? Just me? Okay. Odin, born from the union of Bor, the son of Buri, and Besla, a giantess, emerged alongside his brothers Kul, Vilai, and Vis. I definitely butchered that, I'm so sorry. Together, these divine siblings embarked on a cosmic odyssey that would reshape reality itself. They dared to challenge Ymir the Frost Giant, forging the very fabric of the cosmos and existence itself from Ymir's remains. Asgard, the celestial realm, blossomed from the remnants of Ymir, becoming the abode of gods in the heart of their dominion. Yet Odin's exploits were not limited to creation alone. One day, a sentient and all-powerful storm known as the God Tempest threatened the sanctity of Asgard. Odin, as mighty as the storm was, stood resolute against its fury, and with a display of power that echoed through the cosmos, Odin quelled the tempest, imprisoning its essence within a fragment of Uru, which would one day become the legendary Mjolnir, a symbol of power and worthiness. Sometime after forging Mjolnir, but long before the birth of Thor, Odin descended upon Midgard, then known as Aesheim, where he bestowed upon the world the gift of humanity. However, even the god's benevolence can be tempered with enigmatic purpose. Bor, his father, was not entirely pleased with Odin's creation, casting upon humanity the mantle of suffering. As eons swept by, Odin's saga intertwined with the Stone Age. See, Mjolnir proved difficult to wield, leading Odin to forge an alliance with mystically empowered prehistoric humans. Together they united as the Stone Age Avengers, the guardians of Earth's fragile yet flourishing existence.
Number 7. The Immortal. Due to an accident that happened approximately 3,000 years ago, the man who became Invincible's Immortal was exposed to an unknown anomaly that gave him superhuman abilities that put him almost on par with Viltrumites, making him one of 3 known beings in the universe that can make that claim. But outside of his incredible strength, speed, durability, stamina, and flight powers, the Immortal is, you guessed it, immortal, able to regenerate at an insanely fast rate, regrowing limbs and organs, not needing food, water, or oxygen to survive, and being immune to all poisons, toxins, venoms, viruses, bacteria, parasites, pathogens, and allergens. However, funnily enough, there is a way to, quote, kill him. If the Immortal's head is separated from his torso, it needs to be manually reattached for his healing factor to activate. But despite that, even when they aren't attached, he still remains perfectly preserved until the reattachment happens. He's been around for so long that he has been a knight, possibly under King Arthur as Lancelot, an explorer under or possibly as Christopher Columbus in the Spanish Armada. He fought in the American Revolution, became president of the United States by taking the alias of this guy you may know called Abraham Lincoln, and he fought as a soldier in the First World War. In the 1930s is when he officially became a superhero and more recently became a member of the Guardians of the Globe.
At number 6 is Phoenix. We begin with an abandoned infant named Firehair left to her own devices at a place aptly named the Burnt Place. It wasn't a cozy nursery, mind you, but a clearing where xenophobic tribes tried to sacrifice anyone who manifested appearances which strayed from their norm, in this case the child's red hair. The abandoned infant found herself being raised by an unlikely family, a pack of wolves. Wolves! The original guardians of the forest. Perhaps a canine paw father is what every superhero needs. One fateful day, Firehair's solitude was interrupted by a floating man who conversed through thoughts. No need for that pesky small talk. This floating mentor, which Firehair fondly dubbed as the High Walker, introduced her to a congregation of adopted mutants called the Tribe Without Fear, offering refuge and training. Fast forward, and Firehair's psychic abilities awakened just in time to sound the alarm about an impending attack from the xenophobes from earlier. As the High Walker faced off against the invading tribes, Firehair's psyche is overwhelmed by the storm of human emotion. Sadly, the High Walker meets his end while trying to calm her. Firehair fainted as her fellow pupils gave into rage and fought the attacking tribesmen, resulting in the demise of everyone present save for herself. Firehair blamed herself for her mentor and friend's demise and was overcome with despair, contemplating turning her powers on herself to unalive herself, returning to the Burnt Place to be eaten by buzzards. As she lay awaiting her demise, the Phoenix Force, an ancient cosmic entity with a penchant for turning planets into cinder, who had created the Burnt Place when it first arrived on Earth, bonds with Firehair, having been drawn to her raw and untapped psychic power. Consumed by a vengeful rage, Firehair almost gave in to the bloodlust and became a Dark Phoenix, but she was pacified thanks to the one who had saved her as an infant, her paw father, if you will. From that day forward, she would take a page out of the wolf playbook and decide to protect the weak rather than lay waste to the universe. Realizing the threat that beings such as herself posed to the integrity of Earth, she began assembling a team of supernatural and mystically augmented heroes to protect the nation's humanity from both outside threats and themselves, and thus founding the Avengers of the Stone Age.
Number 5. Exodus. Grand Duke Benny du Perry was a 12th century nobleman from medieval France in Marvel Comics. Does that count as ancient? I don't know anyone who's around then, so I'm taking it and running with it. What are you gonna do about it? Nothing, because I'm just an image on your screen. As an adult, Benny was a crusader for the Knights Templar sent to Jerusalem during the Crusades, and he even became best friends with Eobard Garrington, aka the Black Knight of that era. The two had set out on a quest to find the Tower of Power, which is a stupid name, when his abilities manifested after an encounter with the Phoenix Force, which were then improved further thanks to the mutant apocalypse. But thanks to Big Blue, Exodus was trapped in a tomb until the modern day, when he was awoken by Magneto and joined his cause. Exodus is one of the most powerful psionic mutants in existence, with such a pristine use of telekinesis and telepathy that he can even alter electrons and molecules. His power is so strong that Marvel even had to debuff him by making his powers dependent on his or others' level of faith in this mutant, although he still regularly kicks some serious butt.
At number 4 is Agamotto. Now, speaking of ancient superheroes, let's uncover a figure whose power and influence might just leave you spellbound. No, he's not your everyday magician pulling rabbits out of hats. We're talking about the cosmic conjurer who would give Doctor Strange a run for his money. Imagine being tutored by a deity, Oshurdur no less, the literal elder goddess of Earth. But Agamotto wasn't just a student student, he went on to become Earth's very first Sorcerer Supreme. Agamotto would go on to face cosmic threats like the Fallen, and yes, even Dormammu, which he thwarted alongside the Stone Age Avengers. Now let's talk artifact. The legend of Agamotto was like an Indiana Jones fever dream, as he'd created magical treasures that would make a dragon's hoard look like pocket change. First off, we got the eyes, that's right, eyes plural, of Agamotto. You might remember one of those as the pendant in Doctor Strange's possession that guards the Time Stone. Well, Agamotto made not one, not two, but three of them bad boys. But their intended purpose wasn't meant to guard Infinity Stones or serve as reading glasses. These peepers could pierce through dimensions, unlocking knowledge that could make Google's search engine blush. Ever heard of the Book of Vishanti? Yup, that was Agamotto's brainchild too, an enchanted book that's like Wikipedia but for spells. Agamotto went from being a mere mortal sorcerer supreme to being a bona fide higher being, a principality. Essentially, imagine a being so magically advanced that you become a go-to power source for other sorcerers, sort of like being the neighborhood electrician for the mystical realm. So there you have it, Agamotto, the ancient superhero who wasn't just reading spells from a dusty book, he was writing them into that dusty book, shaping the very fabric of reality, defending Earth from cosmic threats, and leaving behind a trail of magical breadcrumbs for future sorcerers to follow.
Number 3. Starbrand Vin. The Starbrand itself is an incredible source of power, proven by other people who have wielded it. The bearer of Earth 723's Starbrand used the power to create music that influenced human behavior to the extent that he has unified the people of his world as a single hive mind. Earth 541 is the home of a Starbrand bearer who has conquered his world and installed himself as the head of a benevolent monarchical dictatorship, but like a good one that actually somehow works despite the lack of freedoms. Thing is, what the Starbrand is capable of is dependent on its wielder's imagination. When it first showed up on Earth, it was millions and millions of years ago, coming down with a meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs, but in doing so, it bonded itself to a Tyrannosaurus Rex, which is absolutely awesome. After a few millions of years though, that T-Rex had gone belly up, and the Starbrand found a new bearer in the form of a caveman named Vin. It's just VNN, I don't know why it's pronounced like that. Interestingly though, when Vin came upon the Starbrand and used it to join up with the Avengers 1 million BC, he was actually more analogous to like the Hulk, at least in his looks, and he had a more primitive use of the Starbrand than other future bearers. But he did live on the moon for a bit and help fight a Celestial, so don't get it twisted, he did more than just punch stuff.
At number 2 is the first Black Panther. Meet Mosi, a member of the Black Panther tribe in the legendary land of Wakanda. Now, he wasn't the first of his tribe to munch on the heart-shaped herb, but he was the first to survive the experience as he caught the attention of a powerful entity known as Bast, the Panther Spirit. And let me tell you folks, that wasn't your ordinary herbal experience. We're in ancient Wakanda after all, not modern Canada. With Bast's blessing, Mosi became the very first Black Panther. Talk about leveling up. It was around this time that Earth was dealing with some cosmic turbulence courtesy of a meteor from the Vega system. The rifts it opened up started inviting all sorts of extraterrestrial nasties like the Brood to the neighborhood. Not one to let his tribe become an all-you-can-eat buffet for these cosmic creeps, Mosi stepped in as Wakanda's defender-in-chief. And guess who else decided to crash the party? None other than Odin Borison, the Asgardian bigwig himself. Now, Odin wasn't exactly known for tossing around compliments like confetti, but he had to admit he was pretty darn impressed with Mosi's moral moxie. And if that wasn't enough, get this, Mosi was the first person after Odin to ever lift Mjolnir, proving his worthiness during the first encounter with the rest of the Stone Age Avengers. Mosi and his crew sealed away a colossal celestial, saving the day like it was just another Wednesday. They faced off against cosmic villains like Mephisto and Shumagora, making your average supervillain seem about as threatening as a fluffy kitten. But alas, all good things must come to an end. Mosi met his match in a battle against the children of Laufey and Hive, and his sacrifice marked the end of this ancient Avengers era. The team disbanded with Mosi's demise, and also caused the Wakandan people to retreat from the outside world, requesting that the Avengers forget their existence. The nation would then segment into tribes and were not reunited again until the rise of the second Black Panther, Alumo Bashenga.
And finally, in at number 1 today is Mr. Majestic. DC Comics' Mr. Majestic, also known as Magistros, is a character of immense power and capability that often surprises readers with the extent of his abilities. Hailing from an advanced alien race known as the Cherubim, Majestic possesses superhuman strength, speed, and durability that rivals even the mightiest of superheroes. Unlike the lesser cast, however, he is a Cherubim of Imperial blood, meaning he has a host of cosmic tier physical and mental abilities. Majestic has demonstrated the power to manipulate matter and energy at a molecular level, able to discharge any manner of energy he has on hand however he sees fit, rearranging the subatomic structure of objects, or charging his fists with energy to increase his punching strength. Speaking of strength though, he has rearranged most of the planets in the solar system by just pushing them from his own power, and has crushed graphite into diamonds in order to pay for a meal, which those two things are very, very different. On top of all of that though, Majestic is basically Wildstorm's analog for Superman and shares a lot of the same abilities as the Man of Steel. And when interacting with the rest of the DC multiverse, he's considered to be an alternate Earth Superman. Oh, and he makes this list because, being a cherubim, he is about 10,000 years old.
And at 10, Hercules. I think we all know the story of Hercules, whatever version you remember. The Disney animated movie, the DC version, the Roman or the Greek version, it's all generally the same thing. And I mean, even after that, this guy has a rap sheet of like 25 other heroic things he did, just like because he wanted to. A major factor in the well-known tragedies surrounding Hercules is the hatred that the goddess Hera, wife of Zeus, had for him. Because while there were many illegitimate offspring that Zeus, sired, let's say, Hercules was the son of an affair that Zeus had with a mortal woman. And not just any mortal woman, but a mortal that Zeus wanted so badly that he disguised himself as her husband in order to lay with her, and ordered Helios, the god of the sun, to not let the sun rise for 72 hours so that his one last night with her would last. Yeah, so not only is he the bastard of a mortal woman, he's also the product of a forced 3-day night, which I guess doesn't really bother anyone living in like Alaska or Norway, because the whole 6 months of night thing, not anything weird.
Number 9. Odin. Odin ended up joining the Stone Age Avengers sometime after he actually was said to have created the humans on Midgard, which was then known as Aesheim. In doing so, he had disappointed his father Bor, who decided to punish Odin by hurting the humans. Now, as someone who often seems pretty detached from human suffering later in his life, it's pretty wild to think that Odin possibly created them and was perhaps one of the first cosmic beings to actually care for them as a superhero. And I know what you're thinking, but Amanda, we all know Odin is super old. Yeah, you know that, but did you know he was this heroic? Because I always find it very surprising myself. Odin ended up returning to Aesheim to act as its protector and also to learn how to better control Mjolnir, which was his hammer at the time. He ended up befriending multiple prehistoric superheroes, joining the Avengers of 1 million BCE, and he also ended up developing a deeply romantic relationship with his teammate, the Lady Phoenix. In fact, it was even revealed that the Phoenix was actually the true mother of his son, Thor, because that's what's happening now, so there we go.
And it ate Blue Beetle. In 1964, during the Silver Age of comics, Charlton Comics revised the character of Dan Garrett, the original Blue Beetle, for a new Blue Beetle series. Charlton's new Blue Beetle retained the original's name, but no powers or backstory, making him a different character. This Beetle was an archaeologist version of Dan, who obtained a number of superhuman powers including super strength, flight, supervision, ability to generate energy blasts from a mythical scarab that he found during a dig in Egypt, where it had been used to imprison an evil mummified pharaoh, because of course it was, which gave way for the DC Comics version of Jaime Reyes. DC's introduction of Jaime Reyes in 2006 retconned and expanded upon the Blue Beetle mythos, but given that the scarab was found during a dig in Egypt, where it was used as an attempt to overthrow Vandal Savage back in the 26th century BCE. Yeah, that's pretty ancient to me. Okay, I mean the scarab was created by Nabu, for God's sakes.
Number 7. Iron Fist. Fan Fei is the Iron Fist of the Stone Age Avengers, also known as the Avengers of 1 million BCE. Fan Fei is actually the reason why the ritual to become the Iron Fist and gain its unique powers was all about fighting Chulainn in a battle to the death. This wasn't, however, because Chulainn wanted to challenge Fan at the time and believed she should, be their champion. This actually happened as the result of a punishment. Fan Fei, you see, was a kung fu master who had been trained since birth in Chulainn, but her curiosity of the outside world caused her to sort of leave Chulainn in secret. She came across cavemen who were helpless against the beasts that basically often attacked them, and she decided she was going to help them. Fan sought to help these people by teaching and training them herself in the ways of kung fu. However, it was forbidden in Chulainn to share your knowledge, and when her people found out, they marked her as a criminal. As punishment, her students were brought to Chulainn and basically fed to the dragon. Forced to watch, Fan Fei went into a rage, breaking her shackles, seeking to share in the same demise as her students, becoming deeply distraught. However, when she went up against Chulainn, she struck the dragon and her fist went right through, killing it, and coating her fist in its blood, giving her the power to channel her chi into fiery fists, and leaving her with a dragon mark, which marks her as the Iron Fist.
And at 6, Dr. Fate. Nabu the Wise was a Lord of Order and cosmic being who arrived at Earth billions of years ago to take on a proactive role in battling the Lords of Chaos. A cosmic being with near limitless magical power, his spirit resides in the Helmet of Fate and is the source of the great power held by those who wear the mantle of Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate is just the helmet. Fun fact, you all knew that. Dr. Fate's origins begin over 10 billion years ago, which I personally think qualifies as ancient, or maybe even older than that, if there is anything older than that. I don't know. My senior year contact teacher was pretty old. But not long after the formation of the universe, were there born two elemental forces, the Lords of Order and the Lords of Chaos. You can kind of see where this conflict is going. On the world called Celia, the Lords of Order manifested themselves, the first sentient race in the universe, and a race of incorporeal magical beings at that. After millennia, circa 3500 BCE, the Lords of Order descended onto Earth and then became Nabu the Wise, who was also an advisor to the pharaohs of Egypt. He's old, okay? I don't know what else I need. I said 10 billion years. I think that's pretty solid.
Number 5, Conan the Barbarian. That's right, Conan is an ancient superhero who actually also hails from Marvel. Not only that, but he was also an Avenger. Despite technically being a Marvel superhero, Conan is also kind of otherworldly, hailing from the sword and fantasy genre of comics. Although for Marvel, Conan is still labeled as an Earth 616 character, hailing from their main comic book reality. He does, however, come from the Hyborian Age, an old hero from the past. But he was one of the heroes still summoned by Doctor Strange and Elektra when they brought together their own team of Savage Avengers to stand against the threat of Chulainn. This went down in Jerry Dugan and Adam Gorham's Savage Avengers series, which I still really want to read. It looks super good. It just looks like such a great time. And Conan's presence on the team is definitely part of the reason for my motivation to jump into this series, hopefully in the near future. I have a lot of things to read.
And at 4, Mr. Majestic. I put this here because I like the word majestic, but also this is kind of weird. Mr. Majestic is a Wildstorm comic superhero created by H.K. Prager and Jim Lee. He made his first appearance in Wild Cats number 11 as a backup story, but he's known for being the strongest superhero in the Wildstorm universe, and he shares quite a few similarities with Superman. But given that Wildstorm is owned by DC, there shouldn't really be any conflict there. Mr. Majestic is originally from the planet Kara and was known as Magistros, but yeah, this isn't like Superman at all. I don't know what you're talking about. Why are you saying that? He has 2 kids, Kanesha and Magistrate, but there was also an infertility crisis in his homeworld, which resulted in only 1 child per woman. Yeah, so how did this happen? Well, Magistros and Coda warrior Lady Xana, who was also later known as other things, it doesn't matter. They were chosen not to breed, but since Coda warriors became priestesses after giving birth, Xana's mother pretended that Kanesha was stillborn and then claimed to have given birth to her herself. Yeah, so basically Kanesha passed off her daughter as her sister, which is a whole... They're old. It's old. It's an old thing.
Number 3, Starbrand. Vin is the Starbrand in 1 million BCE. He ends up becoming the Starbrand after leaving his tribe. He left them because he believed he did not belong due to the fact that he realized he was gay, something that seemed to be unacceptable to his people in that time. On his journey, he sought out a garden he had seen in a dream, which it turned out appeared to be the biblical paradise known as the Garden of Eden. Once he found it, he also found Burke, also no vowels. No vowels for these people in prehistoric times. The 2 men became lovers, but would eventually be separated after Burke died in a deviant attack. It seemed the deviants wanted the garden for themselves. The attack resulted in a cave-in, and while Burke did not survive, Vin did, finding the body of a dinosaur who had previously been the Starbrand. Vin was imbued with its powers and fought against those who had killed Burke. However, in the process, this also destroyed the garden. Vin would go on to become the hero known as Starbrand in his time and join up with the other Stone Age Avengers of 1 million BCE.
But ultimately, in number 2, Doctor Strange Fate. Doctor Strange Fate is the amalgam of Doctor Strange, Charles Xavier, and Dr. Fate. Yeah, they're present in the amalgam universe of Earth 9602, and given that both the Sorcerer Supreme and Dr. Fate are present, I think that this qualifies as ancient. Dr. Fate alone just makes that happen. Strange Fate learned that 2 keys controlled by Access would restore the DC Comics and Marvel Comics universes to their own worlds, which would result in the destruction of the amalgam universe and therefore him. So, to keep his universe intact, Doctor Strange Fate recruits Jade Nova, Skulk, and White Witch to capture Access and bring him to Strange Fate so that the amalgam universe can remain active. But it turns out that he was actually a part of a problem, or a part of the problem. That's a story for another day. But Doctor Strange, yes, the real one, preserved the Amalgam universe in a pocket dimension, essentially making it its own multiverse in a sense. But I also bring this up because I like the Amalgam universe, okay? It's cool. Iron Lantern, Lobo the Duck, hell yeah.
Number 1. Man-Thing Sorcerer Supreme. Perhaps even more surprising is a reality where the Man-Things rule the planet. Their version of the 1 million BCE Avengers team is filled exclusively with Man-Things as a result. One of these Man-Things is known as the Sorcerer Supreme on this planet in the reality we know as Earth 91. Unfortunately, we do not get to know too much about this version of Man-Thing, as he is killed by the Masters of Evil when they come to his reality in Avengers Forever issue number 5 from 2022. What we do know is that like Dr. Stephen Strange and many other Sorcerer Supremes, this Man-Thing does seem to possess a cape, although it is a bit shorter than Strange's, I would say. His version of the Eye of Agamotto, or his version of the Third Eye, I'm not really sure what's going on with this, also seems to be something that he has, but he wears inside his chest, or on his chest. I think Dr. Strange ends up with a third eye at one point, but he's also got the Eye of Agamotto, so I don't know. Instead of Man-Thing wearing this anywhere else or having it on a chain or a necklace, implying, that this eye is a part of him. Or perhaps it's simply, like I said, just a third eye, and it's just on the chest. I feel like that wouldn't be, I guess he doesn't really wear it close because he's a Man-Thing, so actually I guess it'd be fine.
Number 10. Medieval Spawn. Okay, I'm gonna come out right and say this. I know nothing about Spawn. I did not watch the show and I have never really read the comics. I really have no right to be standing here in front of you talking about him, but I'm doing it anyways. I'm gonna be talking about medieval Spawn today. Naturally, medieval Spawn was not only a hell spawn, but also a knight living in 16th century England. If you think about it, knights were almost like medieval superheroes with tales and stories all of their own. Sir John of York fought during a civil war in England, but was released from his service to Henry II after he and 3 other knights mistook the king's anger for orders and went and took the life of the Archbishop of Canterbury. Once the knight passed on to the afterlife at the hands of his king's bodyguards, he was sent to hell for his crimes, where he made a deal with Male Bolgia and returned as a hellspawn. He then went around England committing good deeds in the hopes of redeeming himself, but he continues to survive after being basically bonded to his armor and now possessing anyone who chooses to don his helmet. I should probably start reading Spawn, it actually sounds kind of cool.
At number 9 is E-Man. E-Man is a truly peculiar hero forged in the comic crucible who embodies the timeless allure of unconventional superheroes. Hailing from a bygone era of comic book legends, E-Man radiates an unmistakable charisma. Born out of pure energy, his cosmic odyssey spanned galaxies and eons, drawing knowledge from the very fabric of the universe. On Earth, he assumed the identity of Alectron, with his emblem being a subtle nod to Einstein's iconic equation. E-Man would later cross paths with Nova Kane, a dancer and scholar whose luminous presence matched his own, and together, they confronted cosmic perils with powers that defied the laws of physics. We're talking energy eruptions, form shifting, and unbridled imagination. Yet, Nova's abilities danced in harmony with their ever-evolving narrative. Now, despite the series' fleeting existence, might I say, E-Man remains renowned as one of the wittiest heroes in comic book history. Perhaps I'm not alone for my yearning for a reboot with an E-girl leading the way? Just me? Okay, just me.
If you're enjoying the video so far, you can support the channel by pressing like and subscribing to Top 10 Nerd, and maybe ringing that notification bell if you want. Number 8, Witchblade. The Witchblade is actually the offspring of the universe's primal forces, the Angelus or the Light, and the Darkness. To avert mutual destruction, a truce was struck between these two forces, and the Angelus and the Darkness consummated, and in so doing, they conceived the Witchblade, creating peace and balance between them. Now, while most people think of Sarah Pazzini when they think of the Witchblade, Sarah was not the only one to wield the blade, and in fact, was by far the first. One of the oldest Witchblade wielders was actually Samantha. Samantha hails from ancient Roman times, though she herself is not Roman, but instead was a native of an old Celtic town that they overtook named Sicilia. Samantha was captured but would eventually escape and end up running into druids out in the countryside who believed that she was the one who would be destined to save the other Celts from the Romans. She was given the Witchblade and would set out on a mission to destroy all Romans. Lovely. While a hero, I would definitely say that her morals are a bit more complex, which is what makes Witchblade hosts like her so interesting in the first place.
At number 7 is the Eternal Warrior. Valiant comics introduces us to Gilad Anipata, the Eternal Warrior. Unlike typical caped crusaders, Gilad's tale is one of immortality and ceaseless dedication. Bestowed with eternal life, Gilad has honed his skills over millennia. He's become a master of combat, wielding centuries of experience as his weapon. But his role goes beyond mere physical prowess. See, Gilad's mission is to safeguard the Geomancer, a mystical guardian chosen by the Earth itself. Geomancers are not your everyday heroes. They're in tune with our very planet, with the power to commune with nature.
Number 6, Ogon Bat. Okay, Ogon Bat is a unique and pretty cool character in his own right, but what makes him even cooler is that he was actually one of the world's first ever superheroes ever, even technically coming before Superman. Originating from Japan as the god of justice and protector of the weak, his origin is that he was originally an Atlantean who was sent forward in time 10,000 years to defend the modern world from evil. He wields a scepter that fires bolts of energy, causes many earthquakes, and slices through steel. He himself was immortal, could fly, breathe underwater, had X-ray vision, and possessed superhuman strength, speed, and invulnerability to bullets and lasers. He was summoned by a little girl who would call on him, causing a sparkle to appear around, which then turned into a bat, and then turned into the hero when it found its enemy. While he initially started as a comic, he also has a TV show that appeared in several different countries around the world. And I think he looks really cool.
Number 5 is Arion. Arion is a figure often overshadowed by the more celebrated heroes of our time. Born to the cosmic forces of good and strife, Arion emerged as a lord of order, a manifestation of righteousness incarnate. His twin brother, Garn Danuth, embodied chaos, setting the stage for an eternal struggle between order and disorder. But it was Arion who shone the brightest in the annals of Atlantis, a prominent sorcerer king and scientist, a true polymath of his era. He stood as a beacon of hope, a paragon of virtue, and the very first hero of Atlantis. Yet beyond Atlantis, his legacy extends to the Amazons, etching his name into the tapestry of time as a hero unparalleled in ancient lore.
Number 4, Anthro. Created by Howard Post, Anthro is considered the first boy on Earth, existing in prehistoric times. He lived with his family during a period when the world was still in its primal stages. Anthro's curiosity and adaptability drove him to explore the challenges and mysteries of a world populated by both primitive creatures and nascent human tribes. Through his adventures, Anthro unwittingly played a significant role in shaping humanity's development and survival, often making use of his ingenuity and courage to overcome obstacles, while also being part of some modern-day stories thanks to time travel. He has popped up in Crisis on Infinite Earths, Armageddon 2001, Zero Hour, Team 13, and even Final Crisis, and even been to the Marvel Universe where he interacted with Devil Dinosaur. Anthro's narrative explores the struggle for survival, the emergence of intelligence, and the foundations of human civilization itself. His story reflects the essence of human curiosity, resilience, and the quest for progress, serving as a symbol of humanity's earliest steps into the unknown. His powers are, well, pretty much non-existent. He doesn't really have any. He's just a person who's really smart and creative. But he has played a part in some big events and in more than just a background kind of way.
At number 3 is Gilgamesh. Now, the legend of Gilgamesh, a name echoing through the annals of time, transcending the boundaries of myth and history as the king of Uruk, a city-state nestled in the cradle of Mesopotamia. His story, carved into the very clay tablets of ancient Sumer, is a testament to human ambition and the quest for immortality. But what if I were to tell you that Gilgamesh's legacy may have transcended mere mortals? Enter the Forgotten One, a mysterious figure shrouded in the myths of time. A wanderer, a warrior, he bore the mantle of Gilgamesh, among many others, including Hercules, as if plucking stories from the pages of mythology itself. The Forgotten One, aka Gilgamesh's exile from the Eternals, his kingdom in Olympus, and his ultimate call to battle against the deviants bear a striking resemblance to the epic journey of Gilgamesh. Is it a mere coincidence, or could there be a deeper connection between these timeless narratives? The mysteries of the past continue to unravel, revealing the intricate tapestry of human history and its intersections with the world of myth and legend.
Number 2, Etrigan. Etrigan the demon was the firstborn of Belial, who was such a handful that Belial exiled Etrigan's mother to Masak Mabdil and told his son that his antics drove her away. That's rough. His antics ended up even driving Belial out of hell for several decades, returning with another son born of a mortal witch named Merlin. Etrigan was originally summoned to Earth to serve Merlin in a desperate final attempt to protect Camelot from the evil witch Morgana Le Fay. Merlin bound the demon to a mortal peasant named Jason, while Merlin went into hiding to rest, and these two lived a very long and brutal life together throughout history. Basically, how it would go is that Etrigan incited war and strife, and in return, Jason gained wealth and status. Not a horrible idea for some people. Despite sharing the same body though, the demon and his host are usually at odds with each other, and Jason Blood retains a lot of guilt based on Etrigan's demonic actions, which I think played a part in him being a bit more heroic, or as heroic as a demon can be, I guess.
And at number 1 is Beowulf, a legendary Gatish king who truly embodies an ancient superhero who defies the test of time. His 50-year reign was marked by epic battles, but it was the confrontation with the dragon guarding the Holy Grail's secrets that ultimately sealed his fate. Intriguingly, James Allison, a character with the ability to recall past incarnations, speculated that these heroic exploits might be embedded in our collective memory, hinting at a deeper connection between myth and reality. If you're wondering who that dude is, it's just some guy who can see past lives, it's no big deal. Anyways, Marvel Comics added a unique twist to Beowulf's tale, suggesting that he survived his dragon battle and re-emerged as an immortal warrior in the modern age. This reincarnated hero engaged in friendly rivalries with figures like Theseus and joined forces with Hercules to confront new gods. Beowulf's timeless narrative serves as a testament to the enduring appeal of ancient superheroes, reminding us that their legends continue to captivate, transcending generations and even reality itself.
Starting off our list at number 10 is Xena, Warrior Princess. I bet you didn't expect to see this one. Sure, Xena Warrior Princess started out as a TV show, but the character was popular enough to get a few comic book series all of her own, from bigger publishers too, like Dark Horse and Dynamite Comics. Way back in the day, in her early 20s, Xena proved to be a courageous leader when she led her village against a local warlord, but they were defeated, and Xena, being one of the only survivors, was banished. Eventually, she formed a relationship with another warlord known as Boreas, and she even joined him, becoming a warlord herself. Xena the Warlord became known and feared across ancient China, Siberia, Japan, Norway, Britannia, and Greece as a very capable warlord, earning her the name Warrior Princess, but also the name Destroyer of Nations. Luckily, this destroyer changed her ways and instead became a protector of the innocent, traveling with her companions all across the ancient world. Number 9, Hippolyta. This queen's history begins thousands of years ago. Around 1300 BC, the Greek pantheon held a meeting convened by the goddesses. They were discussing the creation of a race of humans that would champion their ideals. Now, the male gods, including Zeus and Ares, did not seem too interested, and Hera did not wish to go against her husband, so it was left to the other 5 primary Greek goddesses. They decided to travel into the underworld, where they came upon the Well of Souls, where the souls of all the women who were taken out by man's hatred were gathered. The goddesses took these souls and went and dropped them into a lake in Greece. The souls mixed with the clay and the stone of the lake bed to form the Amazons, and the first one to emerge from the waters was Hippolyta. The goddesses appointed Hippolyta to be queen, and they decreed that the Amazons were to spread the message of peace, tolerance, and equality by being super dope warriors. Yes, Wonder Woman is also pretty ancient too, but Mama came first, so here we are. Number 8, Black Adam. Okay, so there are 2 different main origin stories for Black Adam. In the pre-New 52 era of DC, circa 1200 BC, the wizard Shazam became a high priest to the pharaoh Ramses II of Egypt. This is where he met the young prince Teth Adam of Kahndaq. Teth Adam was Ramses' son. Teth Adam impressed the wizard with his fairness and decency, and boom, he was granted the power. But in the more recent continuity, Teth Adam was born in Egypt in the 26th century BCE along the banks of the Nile as part of the Kahndaqi tribe, and it didn't take too long for him to be forced into a life of unwilling servitude. His entire family lost their lives except for his nephew Ammon. Amon. Amon would save Teth Adam's life, which got him the recognition of the wizard Shazam, who turned Amon into his champion. Amon shared this power with his uncle Teth Adam, but not seeing eye to eye on how to use the power, Black Adam took his own nephew off the board and stole his power. This was way before he was either banished, stuck in a scarab, or locked away in a tomb, depending on which era you want to talk about. Also, for the trolls out there, I know Adam is primarily a villain, but he has also been a hero, even joining the Justice Society and the Justice League, so get off my back. Number 7. XO Manowar. In the world of Valiant Comics' XO Manowar, a long time ago, aka 402 AD, a barbarian tribe known as the Visigoths were battling the Romans for territory in Italy. One of these barbarians was Eric of Dacia, a warrior of the Visigoths and the nephew of the king. After the Romans sneakily captured the barbarians' women and children, Eric gathered together a group of warriors and went off to attack the Romans at night. On their way to the Roman stronghold though, the Visigoths came across strangely dressed warriors who turned out to be an alien species known as the Vine. Using their advanced weapons, the Vine easily defeated the barbarians and the remaining Visigoths were taken aboard the alien mothership. Now whilst being herded on board the ship, Eric and his friends managed to overpower their jailer and escape to find shelter within another area of the ship where they witnessed a Vine ritual in which a priest presented a chosen warrior with a semi-sentient armor called Shanhara. After a number of years, Eric and the others finally managed to gather enough tools and escape their cages. They made their way to the armory where they found themselves trapped by Commander Trill and his soldiers. But in what could have been their final moments, Shanhara had deemed Eric worthy, granting him superhuman abilities and the means to escape his captors, eventually becoming a hero in the modern era.
Hey, you made it to the end of the video. Want to keep binging top 10 nerd content? You have to check out our newest video next. We made a list about all the supervillains who actually believed they were the good guys. Think of Thanos and Killmonger, for example. Click the video now to find out more.